Welcome back. The big story tonight, Wetangula's ouster from the position of minority leader within the Senate. What does this portend for NASA? My guests are still with me tonight. Ayub Savula, who's the ANC deputy party leader. We also have Jared Okello, who is the Nyanda member of parliament. Mark Bichache, political analyst. Ayub, I'd like to start with you once again. Some would say that the confusion in NASA is manifest in your very own doublespeak. A short while ago, some time back, you held a breakfast meeting at which you threatened to throw ODM out of NASA. On Sunday, you had a different take where you were now thanking NASA ODM party leader Raila Odinga for his meeting with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Which is it?
Yvonne, let me just give a correction on that matter. I said on Sunday that specifically that the meeting between Uhuru and Raila was a meeting between two presidents, the President of the Republic of Kenya and the People's President. And that meeting is welcome. They had an opportunity to discuss matters of national concern. And before that, I had convened a meeting of ANC, Ford Kenya, and Wiper members of Parliament at Pan-Africa Hotel to look into ways of resolving this crisis. At the meeting, we resolved that if at all ODM moves or is swallowed by Jubilee, we coalesce around an alliance called NASA Alliance, and we take over the leadership of opposition, and we run this country as the main opposition leaders. That is what I meant. I'm not in that matter doing what you call doublespeak. I'm just giving an explanation clearly that the meeting is welcome. Is the meeting between the principal of NASA, the chief principal of NASA, and the President of the Republic of Kenya. On the other side, this is the People's President. He's sworn in as the People's President. Okay, what of those who say that ANC shouldn't even be speaking on this matter because you seem to be beneficiaries of the agreement despite your very low numbers? When it came to constituting the membership of the PSC, at the time when even it was said that your party numbers did not even qualify you to be a member of the PSC, when Wiper itself had a problem with one of their members was asked to stand down, yours then benefited with Honorable Haniri joining in there, as well as the appointment to that committee with Cleopas Malala. And so ANC seems to be a beneficiary of this issue at the expense of Wiper. But now, when it seems like the shoe is on the other foot, you're calling it highly reprehensible? No. I'll explain to you properly. In the Constitution, we have independent commissions like IEBC is an independent commission. Parliamentary Service Commission is an independent commission as provided for in the Constitution. It's not part of the leadership of the House. The leadership of the House is not part of the leadership of the House. No. The leadership of the House is different. My question is, even that was subjected to the same agreements within NASA. It was discussed at the NASA level, at the summit level, regardless of, the commission that it is. But at the same time, when there was similar issues we had, then, NASA came in, talked about it, agreed to these matters, and that you have always benefited to this. No. Let me tell you the truth and the intrigues that have been happening within NASA coalition. The previous list of NASA that came to the National Assembly, the leader of minority was ODM, deputy leader was supposed to be ANC, whip was supposed to be Wiper, and the deputy whip was supposed to be Ford Kenya. But things changed. Individuals sat somewhere and changed the list and substituted ANC from that list and took it to the speaker. And the speaker agreed because we are wrangling over the matter and it was taking time and he had given us time limits. At the Senate, the similar scenario was taking place where James Orengo was fighting with Weta over the same position. This is not a new matter. The summit sat, and I remember in that meeting, Kalonzo was very harsh, and Kalonzo told Raila, don't betray this cause. Those are the truth. Those are facts I'm telling you. These wrangles have been there before. It's only that they have exploded now. Okay. I was supposed to be the deputy minority leader. Right. My name was actually delivered to the speaker's chamber, and the speaker read the name out. I decided to pull out because I saw we are wrangling over small positions that don't add value because I'm going to run for governorship in Kakamega, I better concentrate in Kakamega than concentrating in the parliament over these small leadership positions.
Okay.
That was what was happening in NASA. That's why I'm telling you it's turbulent, but we are seeking divine intervention and we'll move forward. But if ODM move and form a coalition with Jubilee, definitely we write to the register of political party saying that our partner has moved out. Then we officially kick them out and form an opposition to do our work of oversighting the government.
Understood.
We cannot oversight the government within the government.
Understood. Jared, here's a question for you. Raila recently said that he wasn't aware of the plans to remove Weta from the position of minority leader. He said that was something that happened within the Senate. But surely he is the party leader. Are we to then believe that he doesn't know what his senators discuss and is not privy to some of those issues? If so, then what sort of picture does that paint of him as a party leader, or was that just an excuse? Was he feigning ignorance?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yvonne. Allow me to quickly delve into my thought process that you intercepted a little bit. What I was saying is that even after the explanation that came from Right Honorable Raila Odinga as regards his meeting with Uhuru Kenyatta, and that particular day, everybody was in agreement that that was the best trajectory to take for the welfare of this country. A day later, the three principals, therefore, made attempts to reach out to Uhuru Kenyatta. What could be read from such a move was either they never believed what Raila Odinga explained to them as regards the meeting, or they were cleverly angling themselves to benefit directly and individually from what is perceived to be goodies laid in place for a NASA coalition. Let me explain this, the question that you have just asked. When Raila Odinga was seized of this matter, on last Friday, he went for a burial of Professor Oeri Tumbo, and may his soul rest in peace, in Kisii. And he said quite categorically that, yes, I have heard this matter, but this is a very small matter that will call for the intervention of all principals, perhaps over a cup of tea, and this matter will be put to rest. That was his explanation.
No, but Jared,
Jared, the day before yesterday.
Jared, allow me to intervene.
Let's be truthful. Hear you.
He said he was not aware of it, and that must have been a matter, this was what he said, that was handled by the senators. Are we to believe, and you call it a small matter, but surely dislodging somebody from the position of minority leader is no small matter. So are we to believe that senators would make such a big decision without the knowledge of their party leader? Either Raila does not know what is happening within his party, or that was not entirely the truth.
Two issues, Yvonne. Firstly, the three principals met by themselves in total exclusion of Raila Odinga. And they stated quite categorically that ODM is dead and is buried. Now, when they then move to the Senate, they say that ODM is alive and he's the leader. Not ODM, but NASA. NASA is alive and he's the leader of NASA. But let me explain something here. When they went to a campaign in Kitui West to drum up support for Madam Nyenze, whose election is coming up on the 26th, Honorable Wetangula himself said that when the dogs are barking, you do not address the dog, but you talk to the owner of this dog. Now, the senators literally affiliated to NASA took this to mean that they were the dogs, and therefore there are people who are pulling strings beneath the table so that they can act a different way. Out of that anger, they did what they did today. And they said that we are going to move and throw him out, whether Raila Odinga is in sync with this decision or not. And that is exactly what they did. Okay. So we cannot turn around and claim that perhaps Mr. Odinga was aware about this. When these pronouncements were being made in Kitui West, he wasn't aware about them.
Okay.
Yvonne.
Mark, What's your observation from the outside? I mean, the two gentlemen on the show tonight are telling us all is well, there's turbulence. I mean, but certainly there's a lot of historical baggage, it seems. I mean, if you listen to what Jared is saying, and if you listen to what Ayub is saying as well, that, you know, there have been issues, they're now just coming up. What are we to make of what's happening within NASA, surely?
Even if all of us went for a hunt and we successfully killed an antelope, the dividing of the meat will be based on how equal contributors we were in the procurement of that antelope. What seems to be unfolding in NASA is ODM has finally woken up to the reality that Wetangula did not deliver as big a vote, as big a space in Senate as he had promised. Similarly, the same to ANC and the same to Wiper. ODM is coming out like the bigger brother in this particular, in fact, I misspeak. ODM is coming out like the groom and the others are the groomsmen. ODM is the bride and the others are the bride's women just escorting this particular lady. Now, the thing that they're fighting about is what the lady threw after the wedding, her bouquet of roses, the bouquet of minority leader, the bouquet of positions within parliament, which ideally, if ODM stood by itself, it would comfortably be occupying those positions all along. This is a situation where ODM is beginning to feel like the other NASA principals and parties have overstayed their welcome. They have outlasted their usefulness. And what is particularly not being spoken about here and what is particularly queer, we must understand that the three NASA principals were hoping to inherit the Raila Odinga vote. They sat in the hospital room hoping that their father in politics would die and they would inherit his estate. Unfortunately, the father rose up again via golden handshake, and suddenly they're running scared because the inheritance has been taken out of their mouths. Now, what they need to do, and do so quickly, is they need to coalesce around an idea, because coalescing round positions in that battle, ODM will win 100% of the time because they have 100% better chances at all the positions.
Mark, why is what is happening within NASA, why should that concern every Kenyan out there? What is the impact of this whole saga if NASA splinters and, you know, we're yet to find out what happens with the agreement between Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta?
The impact of a NASA split is seen in two lights. Number one is the possible demolition of opposition as we have imagined it in this particular country. That is one lens of looking at it, that now if ODM is choosing to work with Jubilee, then the opposition has a lesser vote. But that position is not necessarily worrying because the opposition was in the minority from the beginning. The second position is this, that are we seeing the end of smaller parties and the proliferation of bigger parties after the manner of Chama cha Mapinduzi in Tanzania, of the ANC in South Africa? Is that what we are seeing? Because in my view, if we are seeing two big parties remaining on the political stage, I'm all for that. The reason being, the smaller a party is in this country, the more tribal it tends to become. The more it's localized in one particular position, the more it only has power within a certain tribe, which is a mold we need to break. And therefore, the golden egg that this goose might lay might be the death of the smaller tribal parties. And I'm being very particular when I say tribal parties, and the birth of more nationalistic parties, where finally as a nation we can begin to talk about issues versus individuals. Because if it was a party position, it would be a Ford Kenya seat, not a Moses Wetangula seat being taken away.
Okay, Mark, thanks for that. I want to get the final comments now. Ayub Savula, I'll start with you. I want to quote the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who recently says that ODM will no longer walk on its knees just to appease its shorter members or shorter colleagues. I mean, these are some strong terms that are coming from no less than the Secretary General of ODM party. Where does this leave NASA? You say on the one hand that it's just a turbulent marriage and you will fix those issues. But on the other, Ayub, you are talking about the possibility. So you're obviously already thinking with one foot outside the door. So what does this mean for NASA?
Even in politics, you must have plan A, plan B, and plan C. When plan A is running at 90%, plan B must be running at 80%, and plan C must be running at 70%. And I've stated clearly that we are in this coalition as partners. No one junior, no one senior, because the agreement that was deposited at the Register of Political Party, we are in parliament as NASA coalition. Jubilee are there as Jubilee, a political party. So there's no one junior in parliament, there's no one senior in parliament. The only difference is just numbers, but numbers coming in due of advantage that ODM had a presidential candidate. ANC, we had a manager who was running the campaign. If Musalia was the presidential candidate, ANC would get advantage and win more parliamentary seats than ODM. Wetangula was running for senatorship, was just a co-principal. If Wetangula was the presidential candidate, he would have garnered more seats than ODM. By due of advantage, Raila being the presidential candidate, he managed to marshal support all over the country to get more seats.
But you say you're equal, but obviously from today's event in Parliament, you are not equal. If one member can oust another, certainly it's not equal.
It's not a member ousting. The decision is supposed to be made by the summit. And today the summit met, and we have a letter from the Secretary of the Summit, Magayu, to the Speaker of the Senate, saying that the decision of the Summit, Wetangula, should remain as minority leader in the Senate.
All right, thank you. Jared, so where do we go from here? Because even as Savula talks about that letter that was sent to the Senate Speaker rejected that letter from NASA CEO Norman Magaya. What happens next?
Thank you, Yvonne. Allow me to backtrack a bit and say that this ought to have happened last week. In the wisdom of the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Ken Lusaka, he suspended that decision, firstly to allow Honorable Moses Wetangula enough time to go and talk to his NASA principals, but most fundamentally, to talk to his colleagues within the Senate. Instead of doing that, and this is a chance that was squandered, yesterday he appeared in Kitui West and stated that he will actually talk to the owners of the dog. By the time the matter was coming up for debate and adoption, it was too late. He hadn't reached out to the owners of the dog. So this is quite unfortunate. Another issue that we must bring into perspective, Yvonne, if you allow me, is that the current constitution does not recognize anything called opposition. There is majority party that makes government, and there is the minority party that does not form government. And if you look at the constitution properly about the composition of parliamentary leadership, it talks about the second party in terms of numerical strength from the party that forms government to form parliamentary leadership within the House.
Okay.
That is why ODM, being the second party, ought to have taken over all the positions in parliament, but out of charity and out of recognition of NASA affiliate parties.
I'm really sorry.
They donated their positions to
My
them.
sincere apologies. I have to cut you off on that one. So what you're saying is ODM is, you know, the leader of the minority, and that's that. So ODM can function without NASA. Can NASA function without ODM? Yes or no?
In the interest of this coalition, we must coexist. It is a symbiotic relationship.
All right, thank you. A symbiotic relationship, a turbulent one. We'll wait to see what happens. Thank you very much. Mark Bichachi, Jared Okello, member for Nyando, and Ayub Savula, who's the member of parliament for Lugari constituency. This has been The Big Story. I'll see you again tomorrow. Ben Kitili is up next with KTN Prime. Bye-bye.